Last time we examined how we sometimes act contrary to our own best interests. This happens when the feeling brain hijacks the thinking brain in an effort to protect us from a perceived threat. Today we're going to look at some of the obstacles to making an improvement in our mental health by changing a basic belief, and some of the defense mechanisms that go along with those obstacles. The major obstacle that you're going to run into is truth. What I mean by that is that your basic beliefs are for you true, and you will act to protect them. It's necessary to protect those basic beliefs, because without them you would have no way of, you would have no guide, no direction, no consistent purpose. You would not know how to think or act or what to do if it were not for those basic beliefs. So, considering the importance of how important they are in managing our everyday lives, it is not surprising that there is a built-in mechanism for protecting them, for determining that if there is some effort to make a change in a basic belief, that's going to be considered subconsciously as a threat. And you know what happens when you perceive a threat? Adrenaline, anxiety, defense mechanisms. All of that comes into play instantly as soon as you perceive something to be a threat, like an effort to change a basic belief. That's true. Okay, let's take a look at some of the more common defense mechanisms that might come up when you first begin to consider making a change. A good defense mechanism to start with in our consideration of a number of them is rationalization. It's very easy to make up a reason that sounds logical and will suit a purpose of protecting you from making a change. You can rationalize your way out of it. For instance, you could simply say, my mental health is fixed. It's something that I grew up with and have it now, and there's nothing I can do about it. So we'll just have to leave it alone. The idea when you run into this or any number of other rationalizations is to take a look at those rationalizations and examine them, think about them. Are they really so, or are they a defense mechanism? You'll have to be very, very strict with yourself to make an evaluation as to whether you are rationalizing or whether it is a valid objection. Blaming is another defense mechanism that is commonly used. It's quite easy to say he, she, it made me do it. The comedian Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do it. Now, it's certainly correct that there are going to be a number of instances in life that are going to create anxiety where the basic beliefs are still valid. In other words, you don't want to or need to change a basic belief in order to avoid the anxiety, the threat that is presented in any number of instances throughout life. But for the defense mechanism of blaming, it is all too often possible to blame somebody else when in fact it's entirely possible that your own basic beliefs have something to do with contributing to the situation that is problematic for you, that is anxiety producing. So before you blame somebody else or the outside world, they might be at fault. That's what I'm saying. You can have that situation where it is indeed someone else's fault. But my admonishment to you is to look at your own belief systems and see, is there some part of your own belief system that is contributing to the situation that is problematic for you. Before you blame somebody else, take a look at any contribution that you may be able to, that you might have contributed to the situation. It's not an easy task to do that, but in order to be honest with yourself, you need to be able to take responsibility for yourself, for your actions, your thoughts, and your behaviors. Maybe you have some small contribution or even a large contribution to the situation that you might like to place onto others. Impatience is another defense mechanism. It would be nice to have a bumper sticker solution to mental health issues, but none exists. You're going to have to spend the time and energy and effort that's required to make some necessary changes if you want to improve your mental health. No alternative, no quick fix, no solution that just pops out of the box. You've got to work at it. Still another defense mechanism is what I call the arrogance of intelligence. If you believe that your thinking brain, your ability to reason and logic, is always going to be able to surmount the problems that the feeling brain presents when it starts with this anxiety business and the defense mechanism business, if you think that reason and logic can overcome that, I'm afraid you are going to be disappointed. If anxiety is strong enough, it will always be able to override reason and logic and your thinking brain. You perhaps have seen this in your own life when you have done, said, or thought something that you wish you later wished you had not. Be aware of the limitations of your thinking brain when faced with anxiety. Denial is yet another defense mechanism. Sadly, it is very true that there is a stigma attached, can be a stigma attached to mental illness. And if the thought occurs to you to improve your mental health, you may subconsciously relate that to and tell yourself that I have some small degree of mental illness. And because of the stigma attached to mental illness, this is just not okay for you. So the effect is that you will refrain from even acknowledging the need to improve your mental health in order to avoid the stigma of having a mental illness. This is very faulty logic, and it can be extremely detrimental, this denial. If it makes a difference to you, be aware of what I have said many times, and that is that everyone can improve their mental health, and no one has perfect mental health. So there's always going to be room for improvement that has nothing to do with mental illness. It has everything to do with mental health. Mental health is far more than simply the absence of mental illness. Still another defense mechanism, and that is substitution. If you have a low self-image, you may not recognize it, you may not know that it exists, but it is still there. And in an effort to make yourself feel better about yourself, you subconsciously reason that if I am loved, if you love me, then I must be a worthwhile person. I must be okay if you love me. So we will make every effort to establish that love relationship. not only for the wonderful things that come about with positive, healthy relationships, but simply as a mechanism for making yourself feel better. Another application of this, another instance of this is when you undertake great accomplishments. Reasoning again, in order to make yourself feel better about yourself, that if I accomplish great things, or if I accomplish anything at all, then I'm a worthwhile person. And this is as faulty logic, but as powerful a logic as using a love as a substitute for feeling good about yourself, believing in yourself. As wonderful as love relationships are, and as great as it is to accomplish, taking nothing away from those two major concerns of ours, they are no substitute for human dignity. And we've discussed human dignity in the past. It is an inviolate, it is present, it is functional, regardless of whether you recognize it or not. You don't need to prove it to yourself with either love or relationships or accomplishments in order to accept your own human dignity. We've been looking at some of the defense mechanisms that the feeling brain employs when it runs into the obstacle of truth, the truth of the basic beliefs. But there are other obstacles that come about as well. Lack of awareness and insufficient motivation are also non-starters as far as improving is concerned. It takes a great deal of effort to recognize a problem as stemming from a basic belief, some of the objections that you are going to raise, some of the defense mechanisms that you're going to raise if you attempt to change a basic belief, and it takes a great deal of time and effort and energy to do that. And a lack of that motivation will, as I said, be a non-starter. The only way to circumvent this problem is to find the motivation that you need, and that will come when you have the courage to begin to practice new behaviors based on some basic beliefs that are new to you, that are originally outside your comfort zone. We will talk about how to accomplish that, how to go about constructing those in the next video. Maybe I should have mentioned this one sooner, but before you even start, a lack of knowledge is certainly going to make it difficult to make a change. You need to know where the problem lies, what the problematic basic belief is, again, the obstacles that are going to be presented to keep you from changing, and you need to know how to change. That has been and continues to be the whole theme of this series of videos. So when you completed them, this lack of knowledge will not be a problem for you. Maybe that's why I didn't mention it sooner, because we're eliminating that one from the get-go. A final obstacle is, I'd like for you to consider, is fear of the unknown. When you improve your mental health, life is going to be different. How different? How is your family going to take this? Your work friends, your friends at work, your friends outside of work, how are they going to react? It is sad but true that the people around you have been used to dealing with you, interacting with you, working with you on the basis of the way you have been in the past. And if you change that, there is no guarantee that it's going to be for the better, even though your own mental health is being improved. It's a strange phenomenon, but when we change ourselves, it by necessity changes the outside environment, those around us. And that may not go smoothly. My point is that not being able to answer those questions, what's going to happen if I improve my mental health, when I improve my mental health, not being able to answer that leaves a great void, a great unknown. And it's this fear of this unknown in itself may very well keep you from attempting and accomplishing a improvement in your mental health. Fear of the unknown can be a great disincentive in itself. Again, it takes courage to work outside your comfort zone originally until you gain the confidence that will inevitably come when you do begin to make changes and see the success and make the necessary social adjustments that will follow. Well, this has not been the happiest of videos, I don't think, with all the obstacles and the defense mechanisms, but it is really necessary for you to understand these and to be able to recognize them when they happen. They are going to be operational at a subconscious level, and if you cannot raise those and do not raise those up to consciousness and deal with them as the obstacles and the defense mechanisms that they are, they will keep you from doing what you really want to do yourself, what you cognitively know is best for you. So, lots of luck and good luck as you begin to do that. Now then, another exercise. You knew that that was coming, didn't you, having watched all the previous ones and gone through the exercises that we've suggested. Hopefully you've done that. It will make it much more meaningful to you if you've completed all of those. But your exercise for this video is to think of a behavior or a pattern of thinking that you have that you would like to change. Now, I don't want you to try to make any changes yet. We're going to be getting into that in the next video. Don't try to make any changes yet, but your assignment is to bring that objective, that change up to your conscious mind, what you would like to change, and consider what objections you raise, what objections come up, what obstacles do you throw in your own pathway. There will be some. The first one is going to be, I don't need to change. I'm fine the way I am. Okay, so having put that one aside, what else is going to be an objection or a defense mechanism, or both, that you raise when you first think about a behavior or a thought that you would like to change? They are there, and they'll be very active until you do something about it. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I deeply appreciate your continued involvement in this series. I know it's going to be helpful for you. Remember, next video we will take up, finally, at long last, the actual process that I have to suggest for you for making changes. Everything that we have talked about before, all these 8 videos, have been laying the groundwork for what we will do in the next video, is learning the process for actually making a change. That's where the payoff comes. No, the payoff comes when you actually apply that, but this will be, as much as I'll be able to do for you, is to suggest this mechanism for changing, for improving your basic belief. So, until you come back for the next video, remember, obstacles are much more easily managed when you recognize them as such. Bye for now.